It's Mejia made.
What's up, you guys? Back with another video. My name is Danny Mejia, aka Mejia Made. Today is going to be kind of different. I'm going to be doing a sample flip challenge. I'm going to be going to the website samplet.io and I'm going to try to look for a sample. It's kind of going to be like rhythm roulette. I only get 10 chances to find a sample. If I find some heat, then I get lucky. If I find some trash, I got to find a way to flip that. So let's get right into it. All right, y'all. So I'm here at the website samplet.io. Let's see if I find some heat. I'm gonna get back to y'all when I find a sample. So I went through all 10 samples. I ended up choosing the second sample I came across, which I don't even know how to pronounce none of that, so I'm not even gonna try. But it does say it's from Czechoslovakia. It's a pop rock slash disco sample. So I'm about to play it for y'all. All right, so this is what the sample sounds like. Yeah, so before I get started with the beat, kind of an idea I have for it is just flipping that guitar sample, kind of looping it, give it some boom bap drums, and then just add on top of it with different instruments and stuff like that. So we're back at it again. This is the finished beat. I'm gonna go ahead and play it for y'all. Let's go ahead and get started with the breakdown. So the first thing I'm gonna start to break down is the way I flip the sample. So one of the main foundations for the beat is sample chops, which I'm gonna go ahead and play for you guys right now. That chop pretty much plays throughout the whole beat. That's really just the foundation for the beat. I knew I wanted to add more stuff to it, layer different instruments, add a bass line. So I just needed something to build off from. One of the things that caught my attention when I heard the song was the guitar part from the intro. The guitar parts alone, they sound like this. So both of them together, they sound like this. So one of the things I did with this beat is for this first part, I know I didn't fully lay out the beat, but if I were to do it, this is kind of how I would make the beat a little bit more interesting. So what I did, as you guys can see from this parametric EQ automation down here, is for this first section over here, I turned down the automation, which basically means that the EQ is turned off for this section right here. And then in this section, I wanted the EQ to come in, basically filtering those first chops because I wanted the guitar part to stand out a lot more in this section. So I'm gonna go ahead and play that. So it's like a really nice effect. Like you still hear those first initial chops, but by having the EQ turned on, it just lets the guitar breathe a little bit more and have more room to really shine in this section. So now getting into the VST plugins, the VST that I use to chop up this sample is Serato Sample, which if you guys haven't used it, definitely is a must cop. So if I go ahead and turn this button on, I'm gonna let you guys hear basically what the original sample is. And I can't play too much of the song because of copyright issues, but I'm gonna let you guys hear a little bit of what the original song sounds like. So yeah, basically the section I ended up going with as far as chopping is just this little 2-bar section. Like I said earlier in the video, I kind of knew I wanted to take it in the direction of boom bap. That's just the feel that the guitar gave me. Because of that, I ended up pitching up the sample plus 4 semitones because the original sample pitch was just too low for a boom bap beat. So these were the main chops. Now let's go ahead and see what the guitar chops look like. So as you guys could see in the main chop, I ended up pitching the sample up 4 semitones. And for this one, as you guys can tell over here, I ended up pitching it down to -8. And the reason I did that is because the guitars were just a little bit too bright if I were to have left them at +4 semitones. So now I'm gonna go ahead and go into the effects for each of the sample chops. So for the main chop, what I ended up doing is just boosting it by 5 dB just because the volume was so low. I prefer to add a fruity balance over moving it over here on this knob just because I feel I have more control over the volume, and if I ever need to automate the volume, it's just easier to do it with the fruity balance. And then next up, what I did is add this parametric EQ, and I just deducted some of that top end for this second section that I showed you guys a little bit earlier. And then the last thing I did was deduct some at 90 hertz just to get rid of that low end. And then for the guitar part, basically what I did is deduct some at 585 and then deduct some of that top end over at 11K. All right, so next up is the drums. What I first started off with is this kick right over here. I ended up just going through just a bunch of different drum packs and I ended up finding this hip hop kick 2, which sounds like this. Next up is the snare and it sounds like this. Both of them together. I wanted to add some hi-hats, so what I ended up doing is finding a hi-hat loop, and I ended up just chopping that and having it fit with the kick and snare. So now we have our kick, snare, and hi-hat, but I still wanted just another element to differentiate this section from the other two parts. So what I did is add this ride loop over here, which sounds like this. So all of the drums together, this is how they sound like. And then finally, to give my drums that true boom bap feel, I ended up adding this lo-fi noise just to give it a little bit extra texture. So now that we have all the drums, I did end up busting them over to this channel over here where I added a fruity balance. I deducted 2.5 decibels just to have it a little bit more level in the mix. I added this J37 plugin. And then finally what I did is I added this compressor just to kind of glue all the drums together real nice. So I'm gonna go ahead and play a before and after. And after. Not only is it a little bit more dirtier and rough, but they're also more glued together. So next up for this section, we have this bass line, and basically what I did is just follow the bass line in the original song, which sounds like this. For the second section, I wanted to change the bass line just a little bit, just to give it a little bit more difference in the beat and make it more interesting. So this is what it sounds like. So next up, what I added to the beat is some Rhodes. I really just wanted to have something tucked in the background just to give it an added feel to it. So the Rhodes sound like this. For the Rhodes, these are the plugins that I added. So first off, I added this tremolator over here. I went and chose this Fender preset. And next up, what I added is this Pancake plugin. I lowered down the mix to 24%, and then I changed the LFO over to a quarter note. Real quick, my bad y'all, my video stopped working. So from here until the end of the video is only gonna be a voiceover. The final plugin I added is RC20 Retro Color. This plugin needs no explanation. I'm sure a lot of you guys are already using it. This was just added for texture. And for the final section of this beat, I wanted to add another element to it, so I decided to go with some piano. This is what it sounds like. The plugin I ended up using for this piano is by Spitfire Audio called Labs. If y'all are not using this plugin, I'm telling you guys, great quality. It's amazing, free plugin, so definitely go cop. Another thing I added to this beat is just some ear candy. It's super subtle, but this is what it sounds like. The final thing I added to this beat is this really cool lead. I just wanted to make it a little bit more melodic and have this section stand out. This is what it sounds like. The plugin I use for this lead is none other than Purity. A lot of you guys, I'm sure, are already using this one. This is the Simple Sine preset, and all I did to it is take off the delay effect that usually comes with it. Finally, to give it a grittier feel, I ended up using this Tape Mellowify plugin. It's an amazing plugin if you want something to sound old school. That's pretty much it for this week's sample flip challenge. I want to know what you guys think how I flipped this record. If y'all fuck with it, leave some fire emojis in the comments. If y'all think it's trash, leave some tomato emojis in the comments. I respect it all. Thank you guys for watching the video. I'll see y'all next week when I break down one of my samples. All right, y'all. So that pretty much wraps up the video. I hope y'all learned maybe a little something, picked up on maybe a different VST you guys didn't know about, picked up like a production technique. If you guys took away something from the video, definitely comment, subscribe. I'm gonna try to do 2 beat breakdown videos a month. And also I'm gonna be breaking down samples in the future too, and also doing sample flip challenges. If y'all fucked with the content, definitely subscribe and comment, and I appreciate you guys. Stay blessed.